All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ishwar Iyer, and I am one of the meteorologists here at the National Weather Service in Wakefield. And thanks to everyone for attending the briefing, our live briefing this morning. Uh, so, good news is a much quieter week is in store with some very nice weather coming up here for much of the week. And we do still have that high risk of rip currents today and tomorrow across parts of the area, and small craft advisories just for elevated seas, as seas have been very slow to come down. Um, Again, the high rip current risk is there today for all beaches, and it's there for Tuesday across Virginia Beach and the Atlantic coast of Currituck. And not much in the way of precipitation is expected outside of a slight chance for some showers and storms this afternoon and evening, mainly across southeast Virginia and northeast North Carolina as well. And again, coastal flooding, that threat has continued to subside. And mainly we're just looking at small craft advisory conditions due to seas on the marine area, with some gusts to 20 knots possible tomorrow morning behind the initial cold front, tomorrow morning behind that initial cold front there. Again, high rip current risk for today and also continuing into tomorrow due to the swell from what's left of Erin. And in terms of coastal flooding, you can see some nuisance to minor flooding today across, the typical vulnerable areas of the, northern neck and bay side of the eastern shore. But that threat decreases as we head into tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And again, coastal flooding is just at times of high tide. It doesn't mean you're going to see flooding at 24 hours all day, every day. So again, we're looking at, it's just some nuisance to potentially minor flooding at Bishop's Head during high tide today, which would correspond to maybe a foot and a half of inundation above ground level in the most vulnerable areas only. And then water levels will slowly come down throughout the week. This is just the York and Rappahannock, just showing, you have slowly decreasing water levels and not really much of a threat of coastal flooding through the week. And moving on, again, very little in the way of rain is expected through the week, and there is that just a isolated storm or two possible across northeast North Carolina. And I would say you still probably have a chance of storms up through Hampton Roads today. I mean, it's not a high chance, but there is still a chance. And then pretty much no rain expected the rest of the week after this evening. And you can see those precip chances are not very high, really no higher than 30%, even across our southeast counties. And then just dry and very, very pleasant the rest of the week. And we'll get to the temperatures here toward the end. And definitely some autumn-like temperatures are in store later this week. And here you are. You could see today and then the rest of the week, highs really in the upper 70s to lower 80s. Humidity will be certainly on the comfortable scale. And in the morning, 50s will be pretty widespread Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even into the weekend each morning. So certainly below normal for the end of August and for a several day stretch. And the dry weather pretty much continues through Labor Day weekend, although rain chances may increase by that very end of the weekend into early next week. But that's way too far out to really give any sort of specifics on. But I think the main takeaway for the weather this week is just threats for coastal flooding and the rip currents will be there today and for rip currents into tomorrow, but it's just very comfortable weather, below average temperatures expected for much of the week, with little to no rain. And again, even next week and beyond, there's still more below average temperatures are more likely than above, even as we head into the first week of September, with potentially a little more rain, but it's still too far out to tell. And our average highs are dropping as we're heading out of August and into September. Unfortunately, no tropical systems on the horizon for at least the next 7 days, and through the holiday weekend. And then going to the marine side of things, you could see a few gusts to 20 knots down across in the bay late tonight into Tuesday morning. We'll get to the wind timing here in a second, with mainly sub-small craft conditions expected later tomorrow through the rest of the week. And right here, that window between 3 a.m. and noon is your best chance to see some gusts to 20 knots, but most likely will stay below small craft advisory criteria, with a cold front that's coming through later today and into this evening, and which will move south of the area tonight. And again, fairly benign conditions expected after that. And also into the weekend, maybe you start to see a little bit more of a northeast wind as you head toward the end of the weekend, but benign conditions through at least Friday night, Saturday morning, on the marine side. And again, we do have those elevated seas, but those should come down by tonight, and really no higher than 3 feet through at least Saturday morning. And maybe they increase later in the weekend if you get that northeast wind. And with that, that's all I have. And I will email out another briefing as usual Thursday morning, and I'll be more than happy to answer any specific questions. And thanks everyone for your time. Have a great day.